JDG are going to go for in top, right? Because they banned the Camille, so that clearly signals that they want to go towards something. But when I think of Zoom's champion pool, there's nothing that stands out to me where it's like, hey, Camille's a must-ban champion that you want to go away from. We saw BLG showing the Jace, kind of signaling that one, but not a champion we really know Zoom for, something we've seen him pull out. Mundo is something that fits into his wheelhouse. They do already have a decent front line. I feel like for JDG, they might not have enough damage going into this game, but when you see a composition like this where you have like so many frontliners and your carries are LeBlanc and Kalista, it just signals to me of like, hey, you need to snowball this game so hard. Ooh, for BLG,
I love this. I love this.
Yeah. BiuBiu's picked this up before. BiuBiu has already played the trundle top in solo queue, so Zoom having played it in the split thus far, I really like that BiuBiu's pulling out and saying, hey, I can play this too, because if you look at BiuBiu's solo queue count, he actually spammed this a bunch. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. So pulling this out against the Mundo, pulling it out against the guy who's already pulled this out himself. They have a bunch of different frontliners on the opposite team. Also does extremely well against the Kalista with the pillar. And it feels like BLG once again coming out with a relatively good draft against what JDG have brought forward.
Absolutely, and we are experiencing BiuBiu's first career trundle game. I am so damn excited for this pick, and this is a fantastic pick. I was thinking in my head while you were explaining the whole damage situation for the JDG, either a trundle or a Darius would be fantastic into this composition just to put down the absolute pain into JDG. And honestly, I really feel like I'm loving BLG's draft. There's a lot of ways of setting up this Sylas and Ezreal to be able to kite out these long extended fights. You have the Pillar of Ice, of course. You have the Zhao and the Leona to be able to kite for you. And I just have a feeling that unless Yagao finds some very creative pathing, he's going to find it very difficult to get on top of this backline.
Oh, I definitely agree. And to go with that stat of first career trundle in the LPL, he has played it 5 times in solo queue, all wins. So I think that is a pretty good sign for him on this one.
Take those stats.
Yeah, pretty comfortable on. But like you're saying, I mean, you have trundle to shut down the front line. You have Zeka. It's like, sure, okay, you're going to feel some pressure against LeBlanc in the early laning phase, but I don't think LeBlanc has any real targets to assassinate later on in the game. We know Amy's going to be fine to peel for himself, so you're going to have to try and burn his flash first before Yagao can really commit to him. Every other member of BLG is actually pretty tanky, pretty beefy, so yeah, another low-range comp. You don't have a ton of DPS, or really any DPS later on in the game. All of your damage is burst-focused, and you have a lot of tools on BLG to answer what JDG have put forth, so for JDG, I feel like we're looking at them once again to use that prio in bot lane to find advantages over WeiWei or over Zeka. They do have a 2v2 mid jungle that comes online earlier to the game, and they can start using that to try to snowball advantages. Because if not, I think this is all BLG, and we might be seeing a 2-0.
We may well be, but we'll see if LvMao has anything to say about that. Important to recognize, he has the Predator Ruin as his keystone mastery. So he is looking to roam around the map, leave Loken alone in that lane. Realistically, there is no kill pressure onto Loken if ppgod and aiming are just playing respectfully and as he is. But I want to see LvMao. You picked this for a reason. I want to see him make it work.
I feel like that's just so weird, though. Like, you have a Kalista. I feel like leaving your Kalista on an island sounds quite strange. You have a Mundo up in top side. You know, it's like, so maybe going to be using it more to try to guarantee them to be able to find engages once we do hit the mid game, right? Use Predator to get in, and then you have the Kalista ultimate to be able to pull you out. But yeah, for LvMao, we're going to see how he uses it. I think looking for engages and finding picks once we get into mid game is probably the play. For JDG, I really think you need to be playing through mid jungle and then playing through the pressure you have at bot lane. The fact that Zoom is Mundo, we're not playing around Zoom. Kanavi and Zoom actually have an incredibly low jungle proximity this split as well. We hit on it in last game how JDG have really gone away from what they would do a lot last year of Kanavi pathing towards top lane all the time and giving Zoom at least one gank within his first pathing before transitioning to the opposite side.
Whoa!
Ooh, already getting Amy's both summoners, actually.
We are going to see it. The cleanse, the flash. Loken with the rend picks up first blood. And that was the start we expected from game 1, but they bring it in game 2.
I mean, Loken and LvMao knowing they need to be the ones to step up to find the advantages when you have this sort of composition where your Kalista really is the main carry. They're going to be the ones to start it off. LvMao, great job of recognizing that and not only punishing ppgod, but you find aiming. You find the man himself who had to blow both summoners. Yagao getting pressure in this mid lane matchup early on is what we'd expect it well. So full control for the JDG bot side. We know Kanavi's going to be guaranteed that Scuttle Crab, and we're going to be looking to WeiWei to see what him and BiuBiu are able to do with that topside pressure.
Important to recognize as well, Lee Sin's Kanavi, or Kanavi on Lee Sin, pathing down towards this bot lane, so will be able to answer or maybe even snowball JDG in this bot side, as we now see BiuBiu getting the push into top lane. Pretty standard, very difficult for Mundo to really do anything in this matchup. Trundle just sustains too damn heavily and can trade into you very, very nicely, of course, with the bite, taking away a lot of your AD trading capabilities. But now, where do you go if you're a side of JDG? Do you double down on this bot side? Do you look for something else? And actually, I really love the punish on this bot side. I didn't even recognize it before we came into it, but it was a tier start for aiming because he thought it was going to be a lot more passive.
Yeah, thought he would have room to look for it. And I'm just going to highlight for JDG. I mean, right now, BLG's bot lane's pushing out, so they're going to have the opportunity. One thing JDG can even look for with the fact that they have mid-pressure right is to see if that they can have LvMao and Loken build up a wave and even try to threaten dives in the bottom side. Aiming doesn't have any summoners, so definitely a bit of a window to do that one. You'll always have to be careful of the teleports coming out from the side of BLG to look for answers, but I think for JDG, you're definitely going to keep looking towards the bottom side. We already saw that in game one, that was their plan. They weren't able to find the same amount of advantages that they already have this game, but I think very clear win condition for them. For BLG, I think it is a bit more, I don't want to say confusing, but for BLG, I think for WeiWei, you just really have to cover any aggression coming out. I think if you get to the same point you got to last game of mid-game 5v5 teamfights at Dragon, BLG should just be expected favorites to go ahead if JDG don't have a massive early game gold lead.
I'm also very curious to see how quickly LvMao and his health bar in particular go down, because we usually see with the Sett supports, you go in, you obviously have the aftershock, and then once the aftershock subsides, then you pop down the haymaker to get that big shield. Won't exactly have the same amount of setup as such, as we can see them both supports just trading out as they both get probably an equal amount, maybe a little bit more in favor of JDG, but again, curious and curiouser to see how this whole Predator set works.
I mean, we have seen it a few times, but I feel like when we have seen it, it's typically been with something like the Ezreal, where it's like you said earlier, right? It's about like, hey, he's fine, he's chilling. I'm going to be all over the map looking for these plays, not typically with the Kalista. So it's going to be fine in the early laning phase. We even saw in that last trade, right, that BLG's bottom lane doesn't really have any damage that they can output at this point in time to really deal with them. LvMao also already having boots, so going to be able to look for plays and already using them. Still not going to be able to get anything down onto BLG. We also have WeiWei on this half of the map.
Oh, he goes for it, but now LvMao with no flash, nowhere to go. He's going to be taken down. You can see already ppgod jumping onto Loken, who is also summonerless after he uses his cleanse. Zeka picks himself up a kill as reward for using his teleport, and that is just a little bit of overconfidence from JDG.
Really nice counterplay coming out from BLG when the enemy bottom lane is playing so aggressive, when they've already flashed and you look for this kill. They have the Predator, they're proccing the Predator. Just invest more resources in TPs to find these kills. There's no Sonic wave for aiming. ppgod's still here, so Kanavi shouldn't be able to find anything.
But Yagao is roaming down. They haven't got a minion wave, though. This is really risky. The Q lands. ppgod, though, is not the target. The heal comes out as Yagao gets himself out. The Ignite, though, is good enough to take down ppgod. And that is going to be a nice answer back here from JDG.
It looked like between the Aftershock and the heal from aiming that it might have been enough to survive, but no, just on a nice edge going down. Kanavi going to turn that into a dragon, so JDG still going to be able to get an advantage off that one. BLG are still the team that's ahead in gold. If you actually look at the minimap, BLG are trying to answer on the opposite side. We're seeing WeiWei look for Scuttle Crab, going to get some deep vision down once again like they had in their last game. And you're going to see BLG try and find opportunities, but actually it's JDG going with the same strat as last game, stealing the blue buff. But Zeka
this is not the play. The flash forward in. You can see Kanavi is now taken down, aiming with his second kill of the game. All over a blue buff. JDG, you need to cross your T's. You need to dot your I's. You need to make sure you know where everyone is before you invade.
And this goes back to a conversation we had last game about, you know, teams having windows and how to use tempo and like when it's your turn to make a play. JDG are the team that just made a play. They looked for the kills on bot and turned that into a dragon. So BLG are the ones coming off of base. They are the ones having tempo, can look for that play. So doing a nice job to punish JDG, maybe looking for too much. 3 plays in a row. And gonna keep up that gold lead. Over 1,000 at this point. And it looks like WeiWei, I like what he's doing, right? We've seen him a lot of just hovering around mid and bot because for him, as long as you're counteracting, I'm going to stop Penguin.
Yeah, we're going to see if Yagao gets jumped on, but just takes about half his HP, and Zeka walks away. Rift Herald going to be spawning in 10 seconds time, so that's going to be the next objective, as we now see BiuBiu just going to take a couple of different things. You can see nicely done there by him on the Pillar of Ice, as it does actually count as a hard CC if you can land it right underneath them. It does count as a knock-up as well, as we can see now Kanavi lands a Sonic Wave, but on top of a ward, and with WeiWei in the wings. Not really the play you want to be going for just yet, as now Zeka and Yagao might be looking for a bit of skirmish, but might all be in this top side. Here we go. Subjugate is down. There's the Pillar of Ice going to be used. Flash is still available for Zoom should he need it. He just popped out his ultimate, and that's going to be enough for him to get himself out. Kanavi finds himself a Sylas and backs him all the way back up the top lane as Yagao finds a Honey Fruit, and that should be the Rift Herald for the side of JDG.
Yeah, really nice, right? Zeka starts moving towards top side. I wonder if he hadn't spotted Kanavi from when Kanavi was showing in Tribrush. So I feel like Zeka had to know that Kanavi was coming down, but we're going to see here, going to force the engage. He already has the LeBlanc ultimate, forced to flash away, not able to do too much, and is going to be able to get away in the end, but like you said, does turn into this Rift Herald for the side of JDG. So JDG at least finding some small advantages that they need to. In the end, all that Rift Herald will probably be able to do is get them back the amount of gold that they're behind, but I feel like the bigger thing for JDG is opening up a lane on the map to start to be able to play through, get Yagao in a side lane, have him start roaming and playing off vision denial and finding picks, because for BLG, I still don't think the state of the game is all too bad for them. Aiming especially, having a bounty, already being close to his first item is something that is pretty good for the side of Bilibili Gaming.
Well, we see now aiming getting rendered there as Loken and LvMao just threaten around the bot side, knowing that there was a 2v1 situation. Not really to fully commit though, as they recognize that aiming has both summoners available, so very slippery champion is the Ezreal, as now Yagao just going to try and maybe see if he can roam over, get some vision, see if he knows where everyone is going, but might be a bit of an engagement here. Important to note, there is a stopwatch here for ppgod, and he might be able to use that to his advantage.
Yeah, but we do have Kanavi making his way down now. Actually just going to end up going for his Krugs. Both junglers being on the bottom side of the map means a lot of volatile action could happen. Zoom being the only one with TP, though. So in the end, JDG would be the ones who would be able to have more numbers here if any shenanigans broke out.
2 TP. Well, Zeka will have his available to him very shortly. We have, of course, got the Ignite for Yagao in the mid lane, and if you ever listen to Dagda, he's not a fan of Ignite into mid lane. Feels like the teleport just has a lot more utility available to him, as LvMao and Loken might be in a little bit of trouble. The cleanse has to be used. Solar Flare has to be flashed away from. LvMao has to try and get himself out as well. Fate's Call has been committed. Yagao roams down. BiuBiu, though, in a lot of trouble. Gonna hit with the briefcase and knocked down underneath the turret. Now WeiWei trying to deal with Kanavi and Yagao on his own. There's the Lee Sin kick to try and back this one away. The TP's gonna coming in from Zeka, and it's gonna be a 5v4 in this entire bot side. The showstopper to try and start it all. Stolen back and used a little bit more effectively, though, by the side of Zeka, but he can't really get himself into this fight. Amy flashes and dashes, but gets it all wrong and doesn't get over the wall. It's all JDG as Yagao picks up 3.
And in the end, it is a 5v4 on the bottom side because somehow Zoom is able to find a solo queue onto BiuBiu when BiuBiu gets the counter pick, and JDG being the aggressors in this bottom side fight, we were hitting on, hey, you need to be finding advantages through this bottom lane that you're picking up. Unlike last game, Yagao makes the move over Yagao on the LeBlanc, which, you know, Yagao's known for a bunch of picks, but I feel like at the end of the day, his LeBlanc has been the one to show up the most. No offense to Zoe, his Zoe S+ tier as well, but Man, I love me some Yagao LeBlanc, despite hating LeBlanc right now because everyone blind picks it too much. Point is, I'm tangenting too much. JDG pop off, JDG pick up the kills, and they are no longer the gold deficit.
And honestly, this is a great use of the Rift Herald as well. Yagao comes back out. He has got himself 4 kills. He is your carry right now. You mentioned the burst damage. You mentioned how the side of JDG will struggle the longer the game goes on. But, you know, he's really good at stopping a game from going on too long. A LeBlanc who can 100-0 in 3 or 4 autos. It's absolutely insane. Yagao will be very, very happy with all of that being going into his back pocket. Of course, there is a dragon spawned as well, so about 1,000 gold lead in favor of JDG as they look to maybe work around this particular objective, but they still have to respect the Divine Sunderer that's been picked up by aiming.
Another thing is they've been on the map for a long time, right? No backs have coming off since some of the earlier plays, so seeing the Loot and Zeka now picked up coming out from Yagao, and just realizing they can't stay on the map, they need to go for the resets to be stronger in the next skirmish. But another point going back to just what JDG now have, right, is before you were going to get to a point in the game where both Zeka and BiuBiu will be able to deal with Zoom and Yagao in a side lane. I think it's pretty clear to see that in straight up 5v5s at some point, BLG will just be stronger in the front to back. So the fact that you've gotten these advantages now onto both of your soul laners means that you're going to have a lot of time where both LeBlanc and Mundo will be stronger in side lanes than Trundle and Sylas. So you're at least going to have a win condition where you can play from. You're going to have a point of pressure where you can start moving first, getting into the enemy jungle or the river, getting down deep vision, and looking for those picks with the LeBlanc. So JDG definitely have their advantages in the right places to be able to have avenues to play through and push this game forward to find a win.
Kanavi might find an opportunity here on the top side. Zoom does pop out his CC as the subjugate from BiuBiu has been used. Zoom needs to be a little careful. Never mind, he's got himself the ultimate, so should be able to get himself out, no problems whatsoever. There's the TP coming in. That's very smart from BiuBiu. Recognized that he was a dead man walking if he stayed, and TPs himself out to safety.
Yeah, so in the end, you're just going to have a trade on opposite sides. BLG, of course, picking up the bottom lane turret. Not going to be able to take down Loken and LvMao either. They were respecting, as BiuBiu was doing with that TP out from the play. Rift Herald's going to be up soon. BLG coming back on the map first, and looks like Zoom actually won't be able to pick up this turret, so for BLG can try and set up some vision down in top side. Be the team to look for that Rift Herald play. Zeka doesn't have TP just yet, but if it's even close towards the time where Rift Herald's coming up, then BLG can try and use that TP pressure from bot side to force a play on top.
BiuBiu with the cull actually on his inventory, so almost got that one stacked up, got himself about 17 or so more minions, so three or so waves should be enough for him to finish that one off, get him a nice spike in gold, and gold is pretty damn even with BLG able to take down that turret in bot side, JDG not able to answer. It means that BLG found themselves back in the ascendancy, and now with the Rift Herald being started, BLG are the first ones onto the map, they are the first ones in position, and no TP on Yagao means that he is nowhere to be found.
Nope, so this one will just be a free objective for the side of BLG. We're going to be looking towards where they want to use this one, but actually my eyes are moving down towards the bottom lane because all of JDG are collapsing.
They are looking for this. This is what you have to do when you pick up the Ignite on your mid laner. If you do not have that global pressure, you have to make advantages somewhat. You have to force the narrative, if you will, for the side of, for your team, really. As we can now see Zoom. A little bit of trouble. There's a TP going to be coming in on top of him. He does have flash available, so should be able to get away from the Everfrost. Or no, he should not. Does not respect it coming out. And that's a nice, easy kill there for BLG. They will, however, lose out on top side. Maybe even on Mimo. Oh, LvMao doesn't like that one at all. Cleanse has to be burnt there by Loken as the solar flare was good. And JDG, they thought they might have been able to get 3 towers for 1 kill, but they get the 2 anyway, so they won't be too unhappy.
No, and it looks like we have a lot of action going down mid still. Okay, JDG are posturing for it. Yagao and Kanavi are moving over, but the last bit was really interesting, right? Because JDG were trying to threaten a dive in mid with LvMao roaming over, but that actually opened up the window for the solar flare to come out from ppgod on Loken, so that dissuading the play. But JDG now, with how low mid turret is, you know, this like sense of security was just a mirage. Anytime JDG would have sent numerous members to mid, they would be able to break this one open. For BLG, not going to be able to answer on the other side of the map. So for JDG, still going to be able to keep the early advantages that they found. I do want to keep harping on the fact that JDG, in my mind, were expected to be the ones to get early advantages. They were required to find early advantages. So for BLG, the fact you're 500 gold behind, in my mind, still doesn't feel too bad. So this game definitely still extremely close on both sides, and I feel like we're only going to see this champions like this Trundle and the Sylas start to be more useful than their counterparts on opposite sides as this game goes on. Luckily for JDG, I don't feel like we're anywhere close to that point in time. Yagao especially still quite massive on this LeBlanc despite being 20 CS behind.
I have not seen a Boots of Swiftness build for a very, very long time, but BiuBiu feels like it is the option of choice for his Trundle in that top side, so trying to optimize himself, and I feel like this might actually makes a little bit more sense the way more I think about it. If he's able to get on top of Loken or even Yagao and just keep them away from the back line, keep them just constantly throwing their damage onto him while he's subjugating, it makes a lot of sense because that's exactly what his job is to do in these later game team fights.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna benefit a lot from that slow resist as well coming out from that one. But I don't think we have time to talk about that because Dragon up in 15 seconds. JDG already have mission control set up. For BLG, they do have Rift Herald, so they might try to move mid first, drop that one, and then you're setting up for ppgod to find the engage. Yagao now showing in mid doesn't have any windows where he can just jump in, pop over from vision denial, and try and chunk someone out, but WeiWei already taking a good hit.
Oh, LvMao has to go into the Fate's Call nice and early. There's going to be the Rift Herald charging, so that's mid lane tier 1 down. There we go. LvMao jumps back in, but he has no way of getting back out without the showstopper. He jumps out. Zhao is dead, and that is going to be a good little kill here for JDG, but can they continue this fight? Look at aiming. He's just untouched in here, and a big shutdown goes over to the Trundle in that mid lane. Rift Herald still pushing, and BLG are still hunting.
Yeah, and Zeka trying to find the Abscond Abduct onto Krugs. That's not there.
Oh, there's the Zenith Blade. They're going to be able to cap him up, and ppgod won't even fall. Kanavi won't land the Sonic Wave either. And now you get everything if you're on the side of BLG. You just got a second Rift Herald charge as well. So there's tier 2 in the mid lane going down. The Baron is spawning in 45 seconds, so it looks like they're going to try and reset, get back out for the Dragon, and maybe look for that objective.
We're seeing the dynamic between having more, DPS and more damage as the fight goes on compared to JDG, who's just so burst reliant. BLG goes in, and you see both Loken is doing a great job of kiting out WeiWei to start this off, but Yagao especially gets a ton of bursts onto WeiWei. They find that initial kill, but then Zeka flashing right on top of Loken does have the Zhonya's go down. BiuBiu forcing out his flash as well, and it's so weird that actually Yagao jumped in there at that point in time while the rest of his team is running away, but gives over that kill after his top laner does go down, and then ppgod finding the Zenith Blade. Like you said, a player that we've been pretty critical of not only this split, but this year as a whole, able to set up for BLG to find that, and that fight is just starting to show where it doesn't feel like BLG have really fallen far enough behind for it to be a relevant advantage for JDG. We did see, though, Yagao still does a ton of damage, takes away WeiWei, but once that one combo's through, it's like, what else do you got? Ezreal, Sylas, these champions offer so much more.
A 5-0-2 Sylas now with an Everfrost and a Zhonya's. I don't even think you can kill him. So your target is basically the Zhao or the Ezreal. The Trundle should be able to survive it. And this is where your fears, and I say fears of every JDG fan watching this game, start to come to fruition. This is where they start to feel like this isn't going to be as cool of a game as they possibly hope, because you just don't have the consistent DPS to kill out on these later game team fights.
No, so they're really going to be relying on picks, right? So going to be a lot up to Yagao and Kanavi in my mind at BLG.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, they actually do a lot of damage.
They do indeed do a lot of damage, as we can see. Zeka was spotted out, but some question marks going over this right now. The TP going to be committed to this one now as well. They now know what's going on with the Scryer's Bloom being used. TP on the backside of this, but this Dragon, or Baron I should say, is gone. Dead and buried. Zeka jumps onto the backside to try and stop out Zoom, who has got himself the CC immunity, so he does not stop just yet. But the Mundo can only go as he pleases, as much as he possibly can. But Sylas now jumping onto Loken, goes golden to keep himself alive. Loken is trying to use the cleanse, the immortal shield bow, keeping himself just healthy enough. Yagao over the side, but he knows it's dangerous to go in, and aiming, free firing, knowing he's not afraid, knowing he doesn't have anything to be worried about, and the rest of JDG will fall back. They lose the Baron, they lose a kill, and honestly right now it feels like BLG are 100% in control.
And I can't believe that BLG, you know, just able to cheekily peel towards a Baron, get it for free. JDG realize it when it's too late. And BLG today coming in with really good plans, drafts I really enjoyed against what JDG had picked up. And it feels like JDG are just, I don't want to say being figured out because they're not necessarily losing in the same way that they lost to Suning, but I feel like you're seeing a lot of teams have good answers to JDG in the draft phase, and it's making it really hard for JDG to come in on the Rift, and it just feels rough. But we're gonna see. I don't want to just blame draft on JDG not doing well, right? The play is not up to stuff as well. LvMao in a really awkward position has to ult in with WeiWei, but Zeka the whole time was on your backline, dissuading people like Loken and Zoom from coming in. So despite that first kill coming out, I feel like Zeka once again in this team fight was the true MVP. And this series overall not really been the best series from LvMao. It feels like both games he found these engages that were really disconnected from what the rest of the team wanted to do.
Yeah, and honestly, like we mentioned how without the Aftershock Keystone, he is just so squishy as soon as he goes into these fights and has a little bit of armor and health, but not exactly something to be running home and telling your mom about, because it is nothing to be proud of just yet, as Yagao is basically the whole damage now for this JDG team. And with this Baron buff now pushing in both mid and bot, they've synced up these ones very, very nicely. They should be able to go, as we can see a little bit of a replay, and I think it's just LvMao getting caught out here by Zeka, and they just take him out. So yeah, it's more pressure here from... I didn't even notice that LvMao was dead, to be perfectly honest. I didn't even realize there were 4v5 on the map.
It just feels like at this point, right, it's pretty stock and standard. So, you know, another thing about the Predator point is now it's just a useless rune. I mean, you're behind. Yeah. You really don't have anything to use the Predator for. I mean, sure, if someone's still a straggler, you can catch them out, but that's BLG making a mistake. But look at LvMao. He has an angle to find a great ult.
He does, but he is just not really... They don't care about him right now. Turret goes down, and then they can turn back onto him. Showstopper to start it all off, lands onto 3, as we can see the True Shot barrage down across all 4 members. Zoom, the tankiest member of the side of JDG, just gets deleted, obliterated, aiming untouched. And now BLG are feeling good. They're feeling confident. They take mid lane inhibitor. They are going to go back down towards that bot lane and see what else they can find.
Yeah, they're going to be able to open up the base for sure. They didn't even have to blow too much in that exchange. They didn't keep going. Have the TPs well. Find the engage.
Find the engage. Tower goes down, but the Leona is dead. There we go. More fights happening and more deaths coming in for the side of JDG. I think it's all done. I think it's all dusted. I think that BLG have got JDG's number today, and there is nothing that JDG can do about it.
No, Zeka especially having a great performance, being the main catalyst to shut down JDG.
And in a 2-0 fashion, BLG will take the head-to-head, will move up into the standings onto 7 wins. And now, JDG, you're starting to question a lot of different things, because you're being brought down into the medley that is going to be the playoff race.
Yeah, it's so strange, you know, just hitting on JDG first, right? Because JDG definitely had some, like, really nice series wins. They comfortably took us 2-0 against WE. They beat a team like Rare Adam, who was on the up and up. I think that was even right after RA beat LNG, so... it's so strange. Then they come into the following week and we see them struggle against teams like Suning. We've already hit on all their issues in terms of like champion pool and meta. And in my mind, I still feel like those are a lot of JDG's biggest struggles, especially in a region like LPL where you're never really going to see a team change their play style all too much, or like what they do, right? Like even look at RNG. I think RNG is a prime example. It's not necessarily like RNG are really adapting to the meta. RNG are still playing the same way. They're kind of getting lucky that the meta's adapting more to them. So for JDG, I think you have a lot of questions to ask and pick ban, because their play style is, to me, the same as it was always. It's still about hopefully getting LvMao out of lane and trying to play through the jungle role, but they aren't really being facilitated to do that all too well. And it does feel like they're sitting on some opportunities too much, right? I feel like there are definitely windows where JDG can be punishing, where they aren't to their fullest effect. And JDG have no idea how to trade on the opposite side of the map. They do not, Penguin. Yeah. They're going to go in every single time.
I also think that just the Loken LvMao combination, specifically today, just looked uncomfortable. It didn't look like they were on the same page. Like, I would have loved at level 6 when you have a Kalista Sett, and even just with the Predators, like, go ham, go nuts, go absolutely crazy, because you have that safety with the Fate's Call, you have the engage tools available, and they just never really did it. And now JDG, with that one series loss, go to 7-5. They started the day in 5th, they will end it down in 7th, and it's going to be BLG, who started up in 9th, going to be moving all the way up into 6th. It's just one win, one loss, game score. It's all massive coming into the final few weeks. And JDG, like, I'm looking at them right now and looking at their next few games as such, and it's RNG this weekend. That's going to be a tough game. Then you play OMG, another playoff contender. Then you play FBX, one of our top 3 teams. It's only in week 9 where you go up against Rogue Warriors, who have also found a little bit of form. So this is a rough road for JDG all of a sudden.
I mean, to be fair, right? Because I was thinking the same thing. Then you look at a lot of the other team schedules as well. It's like, heck, even BLG, they have to play RA and they got to play RNG. It feels like every team in the middle table right now,
it's just hitting each other at the perfect time.
Yeah, you know, props to LPL. They did a great job of saving a lot of the banger matchups for the last week to make sure we had the most suspense possible for the playoff spots coming out.
You'll leak the script. God damn it, Jordan. God damn, you can't be doing that.
Sorry, buddy. I don't get the script. I don't even get to pick that, you know, I didn't get the cast for last week. But hey, I'm done complaining about that. BLG, though.
Are you?
I gotta give... No, I'm not. But I gotta give BLG props, because if there was any team I thought would fall out of playoff contention, it would be BLG. And this win, I think, is absolutely massive. Another massive, unexpected, but totally expected thing is Zeka gonna be our MVP. I think in game 1,
Shock
where
Pikachu face.
In game 1, I feel like Zeka had a good performance, but I still feel like it was a byproduct of a lot of the setup that he had to what he was able to do. This game, though, it definitely felt like Zeka was the man making things happen for BLG.
It really, really did, and you can just see, just being proactive with his teleports, recognizing that he had the advantage. No matter what Yagao does, he cannot be here in time. There is just nothing you can do without a teleport in mid lane, and just being very, very smart about when and where he went in. This one was more, I feel like Zoom should have flashed, but you know, you live and learn as we come into the last kind of team fight. And again, it's just, what's Zeka coming into this? He's just hanging back, recognizes he doesn't need to go ham just yet, and just as he now realizes if he used absolutely everything, he can go ham.
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, just exceptional performance coming out, and BLG are the team that now we're gonna keep our eyes on, right? Who they're going up against next, and next is RA. For BLG, they actually don't even really yeah, they don't even really have an easy team. Like, they play Ultra Prime, but even Ultra Prime, like Rogue Warriors, sure, they haven't picked up the same, like, wins that they have, but I feel like Ultra Prime have looked better in recent weeks, so no easy series left for a lot of these teams.
We will see exactly how BLG feel about it. More specifically, WeiWei, as he is standing by with our fantastic interviewer, Wendy, for the winner's interview.